Do you know that Roger Federer, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, only won 54% of his points? Yet the crazy part is he won 80% of his games. Let that sink in for a second. He only won 54% of his points, but still won 80% of his games. And that's out of 1,500 games that he played over the course of his career, which is an absolutely insane win percentage, by the way, which is no wonder why he's the greatest. But it's also insane because he's not outplaying somebody by some huge percentile on each and every point. So I found this in a quote this morning, and we'll kind of go through what that quote looks like because it's actually insane what that margin of error was, or what that margin is from just being good at something to being great at something. So taking a look at this quote from Rodger, perfectionism is impossible. In the 1,526 singles matches. All right, so taking a look at the quote from Rodger, perfectionism is impossible. In the 1,526 singles matches I played in my career, I won almost 80% of those matches. I have a question for you. What percentage of points do you think I won in those matches? Only 54%. Sorry that I spoiled that. In other words, even the top ranked tennis players win barely more than half of the points they play. When you lose every second point on average, you learn not to dwell on every shot. That's a huge takeaway right there. You teach yourself to think, I double faulted, it's only a point. Came to the net and I got passed again, it's only a point. Even a great shot, an overhead backhand smash that ends up on ESPN's top 10 playlist, that is just a point too. And here's why I'm telling you this. When you're playing a point, it has to be the most important thing in the world, and it is. But when it's behind you, it's behind you. This mindset is crucial because it frees you to fully commit to the next point and the next point after that with intensity, clarity, and focus. You want to become a master of overcoming hard moments? That is to me the sign of a champion. The best in the world are not the best because they win every point, it's because they lose again and again and they've learned how to deal with it. You accept it, cry it out if you need to, and force a smile. Like, I have a hard time adding anything to that because that quote is, one, extremely powerful, but two, it's just perfect. Like, it really wraps up the idea fully. But it does remind me of watching Alex Hormozi over these last couple of years. And a quote, or I think he said in a podcast at one point, is 20 times the effort equals 1,000 times the result. He was talking about writing his last book, $100 Million Leads. He spent 2 years on that, 3,500 hours, which is the equivalent of about 145 days, just to write that book, which on paper almost makes no sense. Shoot, you could ghostwrite that. There's so many ways you could buy all that time back, and that's really what our culture seems to be about. But he has this core belief that putting in 20 times the effort is going to... But he has this belief that 20 times the effort is what leads to... But he has the belief that putting in 20 times the effort is what leads to those outsized returns. And I feel like that goes right along with what Rodger's talking about here, is that you're putting in all this extra effort and it's almost like you don't notice it because you're only winning a little bit more. You're putting in all this extra effort. How much extra effort he had to put in to become one of the greatest of all times in the sport of tennis, and it only led to him winning 54% of points. But what that ended up translating to was winning 80% of games. So the same thing Alex is talking about here is all that extra effort that's just going to these little incremental changes, getting you a little bit closer because it just leads to these outsized returns on the back end. So this is just a reminder to keep failing. Perfectionism is just not a thing, but how can you put in more work to keep moving forward?